Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Terry White, Worldwide Design and Photography Evangelist here at Adobe. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and a lot going on in the Black community, especially here in Atlanta where I live. Sometimes I'm saddened by it. Sometimes I'm even angry and outraged by it. But more often than not, I'm optimistic and hopeful. I try to stay positive, knowing that better days are coming. One way I stay positive is by just staying focused and continuing to explore my creativity. And today is an exciting day because there's a ton of new things to explore in Creative Cloud. We're releasing a cool new product and dozens of helpful new features and services. We have not only a full day of live streaming showing all these new releases, but a full week of demos with some of your favorite creatives. For example, all the evangelists will be on today. Right after me, we're just passing the mic from person to person. So I'll start off kicking off with photography. Then Paul Tranny's up doing more Photoshop and design. And then I believe Jason Levine is up doing video. And we'll round out the evangelist with Howard doing XD. But we also have some of your favorite creatives from outside of Adobe. People like Elise Swopes, Alice Lee, former creative resident Julie Sandusky, Hank Designs, Voodoo Val, and many more. So we're going to have a full week of design, creativity, photography, video, you name it, but it's mainly innovation. So with that said, I am also happy to kick this off with one of my favorite people at Adobe, one of my friends and colleagues, Chief Product Officer, Scott Belsky. Scott, how are you?
Hey, Terry. Doing okay. Thanks for hosting today, and thanks for having me join you for this kickoff.
Well, it's great to have you here. And I've got some questions for you. You know, we brought you on. You're an amazing, you're just the way you think about and our products and the way you push the teams to move forward. It's just amazing to have you here and also to kick this off. So, but I do have a few questions. So first and foremost, so with everything that's going on through the last few months in the world today, I'm proud of the way Adobe has supported the community. Scott, can you share with the audience today Adobe's response to everything that's been going on?
Sure. I mean, with the global pandemic, the shelter-in-place orders, and the murder of George Floyd, and the protests that followed, it has been a difficult and emotional period for many of us. At Adobe, we're trying to do everything we can to support people who have been affected by these events and to make a positive change in the world. Historically, creative professionals have played this unique role, advocating for change, popularizing movements, and helping us understand the world around us. I tell our teams, our product teams at Adobe, that we must rise to this occasion alongside our customers. So when the coronavirus forced people to shelter in place, it had huge effects on the creative community. Students had to study from home, so we extended Creative Cloud subscriptions for 30 million students so they'd be able to use them, at their home computers. Many creatives were laid off or furloughed. So we made all of our job boards on Behance free for anyone to use, which more than quadrupled the postings of jobs that were taking place on Behance. We also established the Creative Residency Community Fund, which is $1 million we'll be distributing through grants and commissions to talented creators around the world. Traffic to Adobe Live, where we are right now, our online hub of live streams from experts using our products, more than doubled as people spent their time learning new techniques and sharpening their skills. So part of our June launch is that we're more than doubling the programming on Adobe Live. So there will be 24 hours of programming every weekday. The death of George Floyd and the movement it inspired has also deeply affected many of us, just as it has people around the world. We're taking a number of steps to support the movement for social justice as well and improve representation of Black voices. As you know, we're donating $1 million to the Equal Justice Initiative, which fights systemic racism, and we're matching employee donations 2-to-1. And if you don't know about this organization, you should take your time to learn. We're increasing investment in our recruiting so we can identify and bring in more talented Black employees. And the creative team, the Creative Cloud team, is looking at ways we can help lift up Black creatives in the community and better showcase their work, including here on Adobe Live. So we have a lot of work to do, but I'm encouraged by the steps we're taking, like you, and the discussions taking place. But yes, to your original question, our teams at Adobe and the creative community at large have a lot to reconcile and manage right now during this emotional period for all the reasons mentioned and more. And we all need to rise to the challenge and to do our part.
That's great, and I love the creative fund. We actually did that early on in this, all that started happening, and just $1 million is boom. All you have to do is apply for it. Of course, not everyone gets approved and you don't get the whole million, but you get a piece of it if your project's approved. All right, so what do you think this period has revealed about the role of creativity?
I mean, to me, this time has demonstrated just how important creativity is in people's lives and what a powerful force it is in the world. As soon as people started to shelter in place, creativity exploded. People recreating great paintings at home, making TikTok videos, adult coloring books were all the rage. And as I said earlier, more than twice the viewership on Adobe Live. Being creative helped people connect with one another, even though they had to remain apart. And since the murder of George Floyd, we've seen the power of creative expression. Many artists are using their skills to support the movement with fundraisers. And just as an example, Kyle Webster, who many of you know from Adobe Live and from the many digital brushes he's created, raised more than $10,000 with a fundraiser around a new Black Lives Matter brush that he made. And artists have come together around the US and elsewhere to commemorate lives lost amidst injustice and to make powerful statements. The huge Black Lives Matter mural in Washington, D.C. was put together in a matter of hours by a group of artists and volunteers. In some cases, people were just passing and wanted to join and help. And talk about a powerful statement. That mural can actually be seen from space. And it's just such a powerful moment, from the hands of creatives. Our mission at Creative Cloud is to enable creativity for anyone and everyone. And everything that's happened over the past few months just reinforces how important that mission is. We've worked hard with this June release to include new products and features and services that bolster this creative renaissance we're seeing and support people in the ways that they're working now.
Very cool. And let's talk about the release. What is this particular release focused on? I mean, we normally do like a big release at Max. This is June. Why now? And what is this one focused on?
Sure thing. As always, there are a lot of fixes and improvements across all of our products that hit today. So people need to get the latest version of the products. There will be some surprises in there as well. But there are 3 big themes for the releases this month: learning and community, collaboration, and making creativity easier through AI.
Okay. And tell me about the learning and community piece.
Sure thing. Well, what we see right now is that people are using this time, as you said, to grow their skills, and they want to connect with and learn from other creative people. So as I mentioned, we are producing much more Adobe Live content, and you can now stream and go live from within some of our products, like Adobe Fresco, the drawing and painting app that saves to cloud PSD files. You can have full compatibility with Photoshop on iPad or desktop, and you just have to try this if you haven't yet. The breakthrough brush technology and just how part of the system it is will really blow your mind. Behance has just launched an entirely new way of searching. Alongside searching projects, you can now search and sort every image and piece of media within projects and filter by thousands of criteria, like cameras used, colors, etc. It is like the ultimate creative search engine way to see the creative world at work. So you have to check that out as well. The Creative Cloud desktop app now gives you in-depth tutorials and access to support for every product in Creative Cloud. A lot of changes there you have to check out. Lightroom has shipped some incredible ways to discover how amazing photographers edit their images. The product now truly helps us all become better photographers, rather than just giving us the tools we need to do so. Lightroom also now lets you share an image with all the edits that went into making the image in Lightroom, so people can actually see and leverage each other's processes.
Very cool. And how about collaboration? It's so important right now. I mean, when we started the year, shortly after, many of us have had to work from home. Collaboration became even more important. What can you tell us about it?
Totally. Shelter in place has put all of us on this crash course in remote collaboration. But that's not a totally new trend. I mean, creativity has been growing more and more collaborative for a number of years. creatives are working together more, and they have more stakeholders who want to review and give feedback on their work. So we've been rolling out features to support that. For instance, co-editing in XD, which has been available in beta for a while now, is proving to be a major unlock for teams that just want to design together with zero friction. We're adding features like share for review in InDesign, which lets you get feedback on a project without ever even leaving the app. And Creative Cloud Libraries just keeps getting better. You can now access all of your ingredient assets across all of your desktop and mobile products, but also sharing these libraries with your team. And we also just added Creative Cloud Libraries to Spark, our graphic design and social media creation app, which makes it easy to, all these Spark users you work with, making sure that they use the right icons and colors and fonts and other assets. I mean, this was a big request from people on social media teams that work with designers. And frankly, when I meet customers, there are those that discovered Creative Cloud Libraries and their lives are so much better. And then there are those that just haven't discovered those yet. So be in the former as opposed to the latter. You'll get some benefit out of it, I promise.
Okay, so the last theme, empowering creativity with AI, which is extremely important to me, especially with what I'm about to show in photography in just a few minutes. How do you see the role of AI in creativity?
Well, listen, I mean, creativity will always be a human endeavor. In fact, the most uniquely, human endeavor that there is. But there are ways that Adobe Sensei, our artificial intelligence initiative, can help people create. For creative pros, it can reduce some of the tedious creative drudge work when it comes to things like reformatting or masking and tagging, stuff like that. For non-pros, Sensei can allow them to apply a technique that they just don't have the training to do manually themselves, or would just take too long. We have a number of great new Sensei-driven features in Photoshop, Premiere Rush, and Lightroom that will save people just hours and hours of work, and you're going to see more of them later today. We also just released a new product that a lot of folks are talking about called Photoshop Camera. This lets you apply these filters when you capture an image. It's like creativity at the point of capture, like applying a layer in from Photoshop, like actually as you're capturing something with your phone camera. So you can see before you even take a picture, that it's going to look great and creative. So it's a cool product, also driven by some of the work we're doing in the AI side.
Very cool. Well, that's a lot, and I can't wait to start showing it in just a moment. So, Scott, I want to thank you for your time, for joining us. I know you're a busy guy, but this launch is important to both of us, so I'm glad you're here, and it's great to have you first time on my Adobe Live. I can't wait to have you back.
Oh, Terry, thanks for having me. I just want to also thank everyone who's watching for the feedback that you shared with us over the months that our product leaders then take and prioritize and focus on. And I also want to say we've got so much good stuff in the pipeline right now across some of the areas that we learned and more. Creativity, it gets me kind of energized. It's going to look and feel a lot different in the years to come, and I am so excited. But first things first, on to the June launch, and hope everyone enjoys the rest of the day. Thanks, Terry, for hosting.
All right. Thanks, Scott. And we'll catch you on the next one. All right. Hey, guys, stick around. Let's talk photography. Let's talk what's new in the June release. I've got just a few minutes before we kick off with the other Evangelist, but we do have a full schedule today. So even though I'm only going to be on for the next few minutes, you've got all the other Evangelists kicking off today and more and more and more. So without further ado, let me switch over to my desktop and show some of my favorite features in this release of the photography apps, mainly Photoshop and Lightroom. So I'm in actually the previous version of Photoshop. I'm in the one that you had yesterday. So if I were to want to cut this image out from the background so that I can put it on the background below, I would probably start off with a select subject. But the problem with select subject, while it's a great artificial Adobe Sensei powered technology, it was never really designed for people. So if I were to go into select and mask, I would have to start doing a lot of work to regain or capture her hair. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cancel out of it. Let's just deselect. Let's switch over now to the new Photoshop, the one that was released today. So I know it was a quick switch. You probably didn't notice the difference, but now I am in 2020. So I'm going to go ahead and say select subject, just like we did before. Same AI, but I can already tell the difference. So when I go to select and mask, it's already done an amazing job with the hair. Now, you still go to select and mask because an AI is not always perfect, so you can still use your refine edge tool. You still use all your tools to clean it up. I would still turn on decontaminate colors and maybe do a little bit of negative shift edge and smart radius. I would still do all those things. But now, if I just click OK without doing any brushing, I've done my cutout just that easily. So it's amazing to see what select subject, whereas before with a person with hair, it would get you 0% of the way there. You'd have to do the rest with select and mask. Now it can get you 80, 90 to 100% of the way there just that quickly and easily. And I'm going to be taking a deeper dive into this, but again, I've only got a few minutes left, so let me kick off some of the other things here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of these raw files that I've got. I'm just going to go ahead and select just a group of raw files here. Let me just start there, select down, and drag them on top of the Photoshop icon just to show you. We've had Camera Raw for a while, but you'll notice now that Camera Raw, first of all, the film strips on the bottom, you can still put it back on the left side if you need to. But more importantly, the Camera Raw interface looks just like Lightroom. So the tools are no longer at the top, they're on the sides. All the panels are there. You have various panel controls to go to a single panel mode. So one panel stays open at a time, just like in Solo in Lightroom. So for my Lightroom users that are packed back and forth between Photoshop and Lightroom, Camera Raw now looks exactly, or as close as it could, to Lightroom. So that just makes that transition much, much easier. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this. I don't want to process any of this right now. Let's go ahead and switch over to, speaking of Lightroom, let's go ahead and switch over to the new Lightroom. So I've got Lightroom open, and one of the things that I love about this particular Lightroom is that I want to go in and talk about versions. So I've got this photo here, one shot I took in Iceland back in 2016. And I've processed this image already. But what I can do now is I can look at different ways to process this image. So if I go to my versions, which is the brand new feature, I can see the original image, which is what we're looking at, and I can see the after. I can see the one that I edited, and I can keep creating versions. I can create a black and white version, a less saturated version, a more saturated version. I can have all these little versions in here, and they're like snapshots in Lightroom Classic. More importantly, now that I've done the after, and you're like, well, how did you get to that point? How did you go from this to this? Well, if I go to my share menu, I've got the option now to share my edits. So it's in beta. I can do a share edit. I can give it a name, making a landscape pop, and I'd give it a description, adding some color and saturation to this photo. And I can even enable the location information so you can see where I took it, which on a landscape, I don't mind. I can say that this is the landscape, and then I can go ahead and share that edit. And you're probably saying, well, where's it sharing your edit? Where's it submitting it to? It's actually submitting it to Lightroom in the cloud. So for example, if I now go to your home area in Lightroom, whether this is on, by the way, this is also on mobile, you will see your before and afters, and you can go back and look at everyone else's before and after. So let's click on one that I did earlier. Let's click on this one maybe. So if I click on this one, it will actually walk you through the edits that were done to show you what was done to this photo. So if you're looking for inspiration, that is definitely one of the ways to do it. And more importantly, you have the option as the publisher to let people download the end result as a preset. So you can apply my end result to your photo. So again, super excited about that. All right, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Lightroom and Photoshop on the iPad. So let me jump over to my iPad. I've got Lightroom open with the same images we were just looking at. I'm going to go ahead and tap on this flower. And one of the things I have is the ability to do a local adjustment. So let me grab my Apple Pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and tap local, and we're going to add an adjustment brush. Oops, there we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and brush this flower, just brush this area. Now it's turning red, just letting me know what the mask is, letting me know where I painted. And what I can do is go into color, and I can now work with something called the local hue. So it's showing me where the orange is in this flower. And if I drag it to the left or right, I can see the little strip at the top letting me know what color it's going to change it to. So if you ever wanted to change the color of something quickly and easily and non-destructively in Lightroom or Camera Raw, you've now got the ability to do that. But that's not the big new thing. The big new thing, let's go to Lightroom and let's grab on, let's select this portrait and let's go ahead and click share. On the desktop, if I wanted to do more to this photo than I could do in Lightroom, I would edit it in Photoshop. Well, now I've got that same exact ability on the iPad. So I've got edit in Photoshop. It will launch Photoshop on the iPad, open up the raw file, because a lot of people are saying, hey, I want to be able to work on raw files in Photoshop. Here's the raw file. And now, for example, I could just simply add some text, and let's type on the right keyboard. Summer is here. So I can go ahead and pick that up, move it around. Let's go ahead and select it all. Let's go ahead and grab a color, use the eyedropper, and there we go. And I can select the color that's like in her flower or in her, her outfit. All right, so now once I'm done with that, you notice there's a button at the top left, send back to Lightroom. So when I send it back to Lightroom, that will bring over a copy of the PSD and put it right next to the raw file, just like it does on the desktop. So I've got my original DNG raw file or smart preview and my new layered PSD back in Lightroom. And of course that would sync to the desktop as well. Okay, I've got like 2 minutes left and time flies when you're having fun. So let's go ahead, and I saw the question earlier, what's this this Photoshop camera you speak of? So I'm going to hide this Lightroom for a minute. And let's bring up my phone. Here's my iPhone, and let me go ahead and switch over so you can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my Adobe folder. In my Adobe folder, you notice there's a new icon, Photoshop Camera. This is an iOS and Android app. You can download today on the App Store. And I'm just going to go ahead and tap on it. And normally, like for example, I could use it to take a picture. I could take a selfie right now. I'm not going to, because I'm on a green screen and that probably wouldn't turn out too well. So let me go ahead and grab one of my photos that I took in Paris. And you might say, okay, so you can apply filters and looks. Well, that would be what everybody else does. They let you apply filters and looks. I have lenses, and there's a difference. So for example, if I want to change the look and feel of this photo, let's go to, I could use Cosmos, but I think I want to do night sky. Yeah, let's tap on some night sky. You notice it not only put in a night sky, but it also dimmed the foreground. So it's doing it intelligently. And you might say, oh, that's cute. You put a moon behind it, even though the Eiffel Tower is kind of blocking the moon. But keep in mind, this is Photoshop. So that's not just an animation happening in the background. That's actually a layer. I can make it smaller. I can move, pinch and zoom and move it around. I can put it anywhere I want in the sky and control this animation. And all of this is happening with the AI that Scott talked about. So we're doing AI not only after the fact, after you've taken your photo, but in the camera itself on your mobile device. And of course, if I have an animated version of this, I can save it out as a video. If it's just a photo, then it would just be a photo. So you get the idea that Photoshop Camera is going to be your new go-to for creating these looks that are just beyond a simple filter. And with that, sadly, I am already out of time. I have so many more things to show you. So what I want you to do is join me on my Friday photography masterclass. We'll take a deeper dive into all these features. Now this Friday, Adobe's celebrating Juneteenth. So I will not be doing my masterclass this Friday. But following Friday, and actually I'll be on Adobe Live next week hosting Katrina Eisman, we'll be taking a look at all these features, but I hope that whets your appetite. Go check out the Portrait Select Subject. Go check out the new Photoshop Camera. Go check out the new enhancements in Lightroom. New enhancements in Lightroom Classic that I didn't even get a chance to talk about, including speed improvements, new UI interface, curves in Photoshop on the iPad, all kinds of cool things. So with that said, I got to go, because if I don't, they're going to cut me off. No, I'm just kidding. I got to go because I'm going to let you talk to the next person that's going to be up, which I think is Paul Tranny. All right, so thanks for joining me, folks, this morning. I'm excited. Photoshop Camera is not still a beta, I don't believe. I think it's a released app. Go ahead and download it. All right, cheers, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.